See what you remember from general biology or biology. Prokaryotes are bacteria. And what is it about prokaryotes that makes them prokaryotes? It is that they lack a nucleus. That is the main key factor here, is they lack a nucleus. Sometimes prokaryotes can have a cell wall or a rigid, thicker cell membrane. They do have DNA, but it's kind of just in the middle of the cell, jumbled all up. Eukaryotes, and what do they have? Yes, they have a nucleus, and what's inside that nucleus? That is where they store their DNA and genetic material. Eukaryotes, you have two different types. What are my two different types of eukaryotes? Plants and animal cells. What is the main difference? One has a cell wall, one doesn't. Also, the plant cell that has the cell wall has a couple different organelles, can have chloroplasts, central vacuoles, where the animal cell does not. So going back over to ecosystems and some of the large categories within ecosystems, looking at a population, a group of individuals of the same species living in a particular area. Characteristics of populations include genetic diversity. Not every individual within that population is exactly the same. Even identical twins have differences. And habitats is the place where the population or individual usually lives, and distribution, the range of which area over which a species may be found. So I've got two different populations here. We've got a population of monarch butterflies that their genetic diversity seems to be much less than this population of snails, Caribbean snails over here. If you take a look, all of these are the same species. And what is it that determines whether something is the same species? If something is the same species, it can interbreed with other members of that species and produce viable offspring. And meaning by viable offspring, those offspring can then reproduce with another member of the same species and produce offspring. So you take something that is not the same species. If you took a lion and a tiger and you bred them together and you made a, what's it called? A liger, those being separate species, the liger cannot produce babies. Or a mule, a donkey and a horse, cannot produce babies. The reason because there is a different quantity of chromosomes within these different species and their genetic diversity is different. So when the mule goes to reproduce with another either mule, horse, or donkey, the sex cells or the gametes, the egg and sperm, when they try to come together again to fertilize, there's just too much confusion. The egg doesn't really know what to do. There's too much genetic material, and it just doesn't work. So for individuals to be the same species, they have to be able to interbreed within each other and produce offspring that can produce more of the same if they reproduce with other members.